Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another live stream. My name is Hazik, and today, as always, we're going to be discussing all things crypto. We'll take a look at some altcoins. If you have any requests, by all means, let me know down below in the comments. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin. We're going to take a look at a few news pieces from Twitter, and we'll talk about the potential recession that everyone's talking about again in the United States. So, jumping into the CoinMarketCap page, let's see what's going on. Not a lot has changed since the last weekend. So we didn't really see any massive moves in Bitcoin. Ethereum hasn't done a lot. Some altcoins did go up and down briefly, but overall there was no massive moves. Solana still hovering around 150. Cardano hovering around 70 cents. Chainlink hovering around $12 to $14. So yeah, Polkadot $4. I got out of my Polkadot position a while ago. We took profits during that pump at the end of the year. So if I take a look at where I sold my Polkadot, I got out at $11 on December 4th. $11.01 because I just did not want to hold something that is underperforming against other coins. I wanted to be more essentially be more open to riskier coins. And you still have a good opportunity to get into some altcoins that are either retesting their previous lows or printing higher lows. If your altcoin just recently did like a 600% move to the upside, I'd recommend you stay away from that. So that's the overall market breakdown. Again, nothing special. Some altcoins individually did have massive moves. For example, this coin did, I believe, a 10x out of nowhere, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so this thing did a 10x here. But again, the market cap is so small. You can never predict which one of these super low cap coins are going to do something like that. So the market cap went from, $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 to 2.4. So it was a massive, massive pump. But this is just on an individual level. There was no massive moves in the altcoin market. So if we take a look at the altcoin season index, we can see that we're breaking out of the Bitcoin season. So whenever you're below the index of 25, you're in Bitcoin season, which we were in for the past month and a half or so. And now we're entering into the kind of mid-range between the Bitcoin and the altcoin seasons. And then when we pass the 75 on the index, that's when we're in altcoin season. So we briefly did that here in November, December 2024, briefly did that in January 2024, in summer 2022, and in January 2022 as well. Okay, and you had little moves to the upside here and there. But if you're looking at a proper alt season, we want to go back to 2020, specifically this bottom from November 2020. And we had a massive altcoin season for around 5 to 6 months. We peaked in May, and then we had a massive correction. Then once again, from May 2022, you had a relief rally into August. It wasn't as significant as the bull market alt season because obviously that was a bear market in 2022. So keep an eye on this. Whenever you see this thing above the index of 75, that could be an indicator telling you to start taking some profits. This is the Bitcoin rainbow chart, and we've looked at this many times before. If you zoom in here, you can see we're in the green zone, which is the still cheap area, okay? And right above us is the hodl zone. And then by the end of the year, if we start getting closer to the is this a bubble and FOMO intensifies levels, which is this light orange and dark orange areas, that's where I would be selling, and that's where I would be getting out of crypto, or at least I would use that as a double or triple or quadruple confirmation for the bull market top. We also have a few other indicators that we take a look at all the time. So this is the CBBI indicator, and right now we're sitting at 73 in terms of confidence that we are at the peak. We were sitting at around 82 back in November 2024, and then we had a crash from there. Usually we get to 95 to 100 whenever we get close to a bull market peak. Is this time going to be different? We don't know, but definitely keep an eye on that. This is the Bitcoin terminal price indicator. This has called the top accurately multiple times. So back in March, April 2021, whenever the price hits the terminal moving average here, then you want to get out of the markets, essentially. It's simple as that. We also have the MVRV Z-score, and this hasn't done anything yet. So we're looking to get into that red zone for a bull market top. Okay, that's what we're looking for. That hasn't happened yet. So I don't think we should be, personally at least, I don't think we're done with this bull market, but anything can happen. Anything can happen in these crypto markets. You never know. So you don't want to gamble with money that you're going to use for your food, for your family, etc. And definitely don't sell your kidneys to buy some Ethereum. At least buy Bitcoin, right? Don't buy an Ethereum for your kidney money. But let's jump into some Twitter news here. ETF inflows and outflows reported as of May 2nd. So this is for May 1st, because if we go to the Bitcoin inflows here, this is May 1st, we have the exact same numbers. So this is the inflows for May 1st, reported on May 2nd, obviously. So Bitcoin spot ETF saw $675 million in net inflows, and Ethereum spot ETFs saw $20 million worth of net inflows. And this is good. This is positive news. I think Bitcoin has been doing really good in terms of inflows here. Yeah, the third last half of, or the last third of April was really good in terms of inflows for Bitcoin, and Ethereum is just a small portion of that. It's not very significant. Now, this is a low cap /AI/RWA coin that we did cover on our live streams before. We talked about it on Patreon before, and this is coming from Zach, or Crypto Zach, on Twitter, and he is actually getting, or he's the one feeding Alex Becker a lot of the low cap gems. So I'm not sure what their relationship is, but Alex Becker is getting some coins, or if not most coins, from Zach on crypto Twitter. And as you can see here, Alex Becker is responding to his tweet about Hash AI. So I still fully believe Hash AI is an underrated RWA plus AI gem that is sitting at $20 million market cap, generating millions in revenue, and giving holders back already over $1 million in USD a year. The upside potential is huge with this next leg up coming for crypto, and obviously Alex Becker agrees with that. So the coin that I'm talking about here is Hash AI. Right now the market cap is sitting at $24 million. Obviously when he was preparing the tweet, it was around 20. And this does not have a lot of listings, guys. Mexi, Uniswap, these are the only two places where I would go to grab some Hash AI. Otherwise, just wait until it gets listed on something like KuCoin or Gate.io. And the volume is pretty small. It's very low, rather, 138K. The reason for that, of course, is because we don't have a lot of centralized exchange listings. Once those arrive, we're going to have more exposure. People will have more exposure to this coin. They'll be able to get into it. I personally don't own any Hash AI. If I will, I'll definitely get into my Patreon and let everyone know that I'm buying some Hash AI coins. But keep in mind, this is super high risk. You're getting into these brand new AI coins that are high risk and at the same time high reward. So that's just a little breakdown of Hash AI. And here he added the market cap. This is the market cap chart. So if we go back up to the same all-time high market cap, or rather the same peak from December 2024, that's around a $200 million market cap, and that's around a 10x from the current prices. Elorm, how are you doing, my friend? Great to have you. All right, so next up, this is coming from Titan of Crypto, a really good page I recommend you follow. So the monthly RSI is back at the same level where Ethereum has historically bottomed. So this is the Ethereum monthly chart, and you can see the RSI is in this block here. And every time we enter this block, it's a bottom for Ethereum. And from there, the price action starts moving to the upside. So the last time this happened was in July 2022, which was the bear market bottom for Ethereum. And right now, we're going through the exact same thing. And if you take a look at the previous cycle, it's very reminiscent of what happened. We had two of these touches and then a massive rally. So everyone is waiting for Ethereum to start rallying because that will drag all of the altcoins right behind it. Once Ethereum rallies, the alt season is definitely coming. And it's going to be the alt season that everyone has been anticipating for. I don't know whether it's going to be the super crazy 2021 alt season, probably not. But I think the AI sector is definitely going to perform extremely well. I think some RWA coins are going to perform very well. So I would definitely look at Ondo. And there's a few other RWA coins you can select. But definitely be ready. So Ethereum is giving you some time. I'm not saying Ethereum is the best layer one here. All I'm saying is that a lot of people are getting into Ethereum right now. They're expecting this massive move, and yeah, that's the TLDR on Ethereum, and we'll see the chart here backs this theory up. So this is again coming from Titan of Crypto, and he's waiting for $125,000 Bitcoin target. He's saying Bitcoin bounced off the orange line of the golden ratio multiplier and is now aiming for the blue line, currently at $125,000. So this is his golden ratio multiplier. This is Bitcoin on the daily chart. We saw a bounce from the orange line right here in September. That was September 2023, I believe. From there, we saw a rally into December 2024, correction from there. And now we're going to be moving up to the blue line once again. And here below, we have Shan Specter saying, people are going to wait for 200K plus and get wrecked, which is exactly what I've been talking about since before the bull market started. We're going to see the same pattern playing over. Lots of influencers are going to be promoting this 200, 250K Bitcoin. Lots of people are going to buy into that idea because, well, Bitcoin's pumping. That means it has to get to those targets. And then, it won't. It's going to crash, just like it did in 2021 when we did not get to $100,000 Bitcoin, which everyone was expecting. Everyone was expecting that's 100% guarantee. And when the entire market is expecting something to happen 100%, the chances are it's not going to happen. So this is an indicator that I've never seen this one before, but this is the Bitcoin Super Guppy bullish flip. And the Super Guppy indicator just flipped bullish on the weekly time frame. Momentum is shifting back in favor of the bulls. So I've never seen this indicator before, but you can take a look at the indicator flipping bearish and bullish. So it flipped bearish over here in September 2022 when we had obviously the bear market crash. Then we flipped bullish in January 2024. Ever since then, we have been bullish, but I can see there's a few lines you can take a look at here. So there's the local bearish and bullish trends, and then there's the macro bearish and bullish trends. So this macro bullish trend has some micro retracements, and this micro retracement flipped bearish over here at the beginning of 2025, and now we're seeing a cross again, and that is potentially another signal for a rally. The same thing happened here in September, November 2024. We were coming down from a retracement here from that top in March 2024, and then we flipped bullish in around September. From there, we rallied. And, this is another indicator telling us we could be in for a treat by the end of 2025. However, as always with the new administration, then there seems to be some, something that's just preventing the markets from going up. And this time around, it's the GDP. So right now we are negative 0.3% for Q1 of 2025. And Trump went on a press conference and he blamed the previous administration, saying that it's theirs, it's their work, essentially what happened. And he's saying he has no part in what happened with the GDP in the first quarter of this year. And that is not true. The reason for the GDP being negative here is because of all of the imports. So we had excessive imports because of the tariffs. For example, Apple shipped approximately 1 million phones before the tariffs came into effect because they wanted to avoid the tariffs, obviously. And because of those excessive imports, that does affect the GDP, or at least the GDP calculation. So the reason why it's in the negative is because of the imports, because of the tariffs, because of the new administration. So it's 100% the administration's fault right now, because if you look at the previous 3 years here, we've been, the GDP has been doing okay, right? Since quarter one of 2024, we were increasing. Then there's a bit of a downturn here with 2%, 2.4% growth, but we were still growing, and that was good. And Trump already said that even if Q2 comes in bad, if the numbers are bad, then that is because of the previous administration. And make no mistake about it, I dislike both administrations in the exact same way. However, some things are just, we just need to point out some things and some inconsistencies. So this is something you can look into yourself. And yeah, that's just something that I thought is important to mention because it directly affects our markets. Now let's switch over to the CME FedWatch tool. And this is where things get interesting. So we have a 97.2% for a no change in May, which is the next FOMC meeting happening on May 7th, which was expected, right? No one was expecting a cut in May. We go to June, and now the majority are expecting a no change in June as well. If you remember correctly, we were sitting at 57% for a 25 basis points cut and a 6.1% for a 50 basis points cut. Or rather, a small percentage were already expecting a second cut in June after the May cut. But for the most part, everyone was in agreement that we're getting a cut in June. Now it seems that that's not going to happen. Now the first cut is potentially coming in July. So we have a 55% chance of a cut in July, going down to 4 to 4.25%. And all of this is because of the GDP numbers. So if the second quarter is going to be negative, that will obviously mean that we are in a technical recession. Now, the US likes to play with terms and they like to manipulate terms. We saw that happening with the previous administration, where they outright rejected the idea, and they didn't want to acknowledge the fact that 2 consecutive negative GDP growth quarters are a recession. That's the technical definition of a recession. So 2 quarters in a row with a negative growth. So if we have then second quarter here with, let's say 0.2% negative growth, that means we are in a technical recession in the United States. And again, I think the current administration is going to blame the previous one. And I think there's only so many times you can do that, because at some point it will become obvious that they're trying to escape any sort of responsibility. But that's really important to understand. If we're not getting a cut in July, we might be waiting for the third, fourth quarters if we're waiting for a proper move in the altcoin market. But we'll see. All right, so I quickly want to take a look at a few altcoins here, because I know some of you have been waiting for GLMR and Mover. So in regards to GLMR, Again, I got out of this coin quite a while ago. I'm gonna try to give you the exact date I got out of Moonbeam. And I basically made 7% profit. But I got out at the end of November last year at around 31 cents. Because I saw that the entire market was doing one thing, and then some coins that I was holding were doing, the opposite. So I didn't like that, and I ended up switching over to more AI coins. And the negative thing here about GLMR is that it lost its bear market bottom. Okay, so this white trend line here at around 16.5 cents is going to be a massive resistance. So from where we are right now, that's 102% to the upside. If you want to trade that, you could potentially do that and make some money. But expecting a move past this July 2022 top at around 95 cents, 90 cents, at this point in time, I can't predict that. I can't tell you that it's going to happen before the end of the year or within the realms of this bull market. I would not be looking at GLMR in terms of buying. Okay, I can't tell you something that I don't believe, guys. So yeah, GLMR is a no buy. The chart is looking bad. Now, if we switch over to Moon River, this is where things get a little bit better. We're printing a higher low for Moon River. We're expecting a wave 3 to come into effect here very soon. So this was our wave 2 correction from the top in December 2023. We went all the way down here into April 2025, so around a year and a half. And this wave 3 is supposed to be bigger than wave 1 or wave 5 for this Elliott wave structure to be according to the Elliott wave laws or rules. But wave 3 definitely has to go past the wave 1 top, because if this potential wave 3 runs into resistance, let's say here at around 20 bucks, and then we start crashing from there, then chances are we're simply printing a lower high, and we're going to be either coming back down to this bottom from March earlier this year, or we're going to be dropping all the way down to our bear market bottoms, if not even below those. So this is the situation we're in with Moon River. Obviously, I'm still holding Moon River. I haven't taken profits or sold. I'm waiting for the next massive pump. And my suggestion would be, if we have a similar pump to the one that we've seen in December 2023, that was like an 11x in a very short span of time. If we see something like that happening again, I would recommend you sell your entire position. Of course, this is not financial advice. Maybe leave 10% of your coins, whatever it is. But we've seen what happens after these massive pumps with Moon River. And I think there's a pretty good chance if we see like a 15x pump in a very short period of time, that is going to be the cycle top for Moon River in 2025. That's just what I'm thinking. You can obviously have your opinion. If we see more natural growth and we see wave 3 play out properly, we have a wave 4 correction, then wave 5. In that case, I would assume we're potentially going to get somewhere closer to $200. That's what I think. Look at the RSI on the weekly is doing all right. We just have to get past the $20 range here, which is holding us down. And from there, hopefully, we're going to pump into this wave 3, and potentially we're looking at $70-ish here. So that's around a 10x from the current prices. Roz, hello there, my friend. Hopefully you're doing great. AVAX, let's take a look at AVAX. Should have it somewhere here. There we go. Remove that. Okay. So this is the weekly for Avalanche. Let's see if we can put this thing into a channel or not. It's not going to look like a channel. But you do have a support here. you do have a support trend line that you have been adhering to, multiple bounces. So you had one over here. You had one over here back in January 2024, and you had a bit of a fake out over here. So now you're going to be moving to the upside. Hopefully you have to break through the 20 EMA. And I would still say this is a good buying opportunity for AVAX. The RSI has recovered back down. We're not overheated at the moment. We are printing a higher low, which is good. We haven't dropped back down to the bear market bottom prices from September, October 2023. So if your average price is, let's say, 20, 30 bucks, now is the time to be dollar cost averaging. Well, the price now is sitting at $20. So if you dollar cost averaged at $15 to $20, great. Anything below the 20 EMA, in my opinion, is still a good area to be dollar cost averaging at. Okay, and in the middle here, you can see there's a red block acting as resistance. At the moment, before this was our support. So all the way back here in May 2021, April 2021, that was our support. Then we broke past that. In 2022, we came down below it, and then we back tested it as resistance. So right over here, that was a resistance touch. And then we had another resistance touch over here in September 2024. And then we had a back test of support over here a few times in June, and then once again in November 2024. So there's confluence in this red block. And that means that when we're on our way towards that area, which is anywhere between $29.60 to $23.80, we could get rejected from there. But if, let's say, we were super bullish, we flipped bullish, and we're trying to, let's say the old season starts, if we break above the 20 EMA and we start printing higher highs and higher lows, and we start breaking through these resistance levels with little to no effort, that is going to be a very good sign. So we need to see volume coming in. We need to see the break of previous local tops. So in this case, it would be $55 and $60. So once those are broken, then we can set up a fib right now just to speculate, just to have a little bit of speculation here. We're potentially going to be looking at, let's remove that fib so it's not confusing, $98. So if we break past the March 2024 top, our minimal target is going to be $98. Our 1.618 is going to be at $165, which is pretty much the all-time high, very close to the all-time high from November 2021. So we'll see if we can do that. A lot of altcoins in their second bull run don't get to the previous all-time high, and they don't even break it. So a really bullish scenario for AVAX, in all honesty, is a retest of the previous all-time high. That would be extremely bullish. And even if we broke the all-time high a little bit, that would also be great. But just understand that a lot of the coins, most coins, do not reach or even break their all-time high in the second cycle. So please understand that. But overall, the chart for AVAX is doing okay. Cliche, how are you doing, my friend? Great to have you. Michelle Kobach is asking for GraphLink. GraphLink it is, my friend. Where is GraphLink? There we go. So let's open up the CoinMarketCap page for GraphLink. This is a $10 million market cap project. Very low cap. We were getting into this thing in November, October 2023. We had this massive rally into March 2024, and now we're obviously in this downtrend. But if you take a look at these centralized exchange listings, we have MEXC, we have Gate, we have KuCoin. That's about it in terms of the well-known names. We don't have any tier 1, well, I guess KuCoin would be a tier 2 exchange. So we're looking at Bybit, BitGet, Binance would be a great listing. We'll see if more undervalued coins have a better chance of getting listed on Binance because of their new voting system that they're implementing. So now Binance users will be able to vote for vote for the coins that they want to be listed on Binance, which is great. So when you're buying into Graphling, realize that it's only a $10 million market cap. Let's say this gets to 100 million would be a 10x from here. A $1 billion market cap would be 100x from here. So from these current prices, you're potentially looking at 100x. And in my opinion, Graphling is definitely capable of doing that with a few proper listings that are timed very well. I think this could easily get to $1 billion market cap, or 700 to 800 million. That's still going to be massive gains. And it is in the AI and big data industry, and it is a layer 1. So lots of people are going to be buying into this simply because it's a layer 1 and because it's in the AI category. Now let's jump into the price action and let's see what's going on here. Okay, so we set up this fib from the top in December last year to the bottom in August 2024, and we got our technical targets down here. So these 3 levels were our targets to the downside. So the 1.272, the 1.414, and the 1.618. Now, we didn't get to the 1.618, which is usually our technical target. We only got to the 1.414 at around 0.017 cents. And we had a wick below it, but you can see the body of the candle pretty much closed accurately at the 1.414. So the 1.414 was met, and from there we started pumping, and now we're trying to break through the local bottom here from August 2024, and then there is a resistance level, that yellow resistance block you can see. If I drag the chart to the left side here, you can see there's a few rejections from that area. So we had a rejection back in May 2021 and over here in November 2021 from that 0.039 cents range. So from the bottom here during this correction, we went up approximately 150%. This wick took us all the way up to the 20 EMA. That's why if you're swing trading, if you're looking to get out of something immediately, you want to target the 20 EMA if you're coming from the bottom, like from below the EMA, because that is a massive resistance level. And you can see what happens here. You get to the 20 EMA, and then there's a lot of selling pressure. So people are selling over here. And partially it's because they have the same indicators that we do, and they're just setting up their targets in advance, and they're dumping. Now, what we want to see from GLQ is we want to see a break above that, a back test of the 20 EMA, and the final blow off top move to the upside. Whether it's going to take us back up to that price at around 20 cents, or we're going to get to, what's the circulating supply there? 339. So for this to get to $1, we need a $339 million market cap, which is not a lot, to be honest. That's like a 30 plus X from here for us to get to $1. So I think the risk to reward here is really good with this project. I recommend you do your research into it. Like I said, we got into this all the way back here. Actually, we got into it during the summer, autumn of 2023. So down there on Patreon. So yeah, if you're looking to get into Graphling, now is the time to be doing that. Of course, not financial advice. Look at the weekly RSI here. We've come back down, and now we're going to be targeting the overbought, which is going to be anywhere above the index of 70. So once we get to that range there, that is where you should be taking profits. MC Law, I think you were referring to Moonbeam. Are you holding any Moonbeam? Let me know. Yeah, I'm sorry for the Moonbeam holders if like you've been holding it for a while and it's not performing well. I know that feeling, and I feel for you guys. I have some coins that are doing the exact same thing. So I understand. Can you do Rose or Orca, please, my friend? Let's do Orca. Let's do Orca because Rose, I think we covered Rose in the previous live stream last week. Feel free to take a look at that either on Saturday or Sunday. So this is Orca. This is the weekly chart on Orca, and we're running into this white trend line as resistance. So we had this trend line here, this ascending support trend line. We were bouncing off of it multiple times. You can see we had a bounce here, a bounce here, bounce here, bounce here. And, you know, this was like a fake out. And then we dropped below it with this Trump correction. We went all the way down to our support block that I outlined for you guys between $1.50 down to $1.20. And now on our way up, we're running into the white trend line as resistance because we flipped it to resistance. We broke below it, and now we're confirming that it's our resistance. So it's not a very good sign, to be honest. We want to be breaking past it as soon as possible. We want to get back up into the pattern, maybe run into the resistance here above us once again, come back to support, and then have a massive breakout into the year end. But of course, that's wishful thinking. We don't know how these things are going to play out exactly. But definitely a break above this massive white resistance trend line that we've been having on this chart since November 2021 would be a massive, massive move. And that will, I think, trigger a lot of people getting into the chart, into the coin rather. And keep in mind, this is a Solana DEX. So a lot of people are trading on that. Once Solana picks up the steam, or picks up more steam, I think is the term, ORCA is going to get a lot more people trading on it. So it's one of the better exchanges on the Solana network. But I think this definitely has the risk to reward here is really good. So when you look at something like this, that has been in an uptrend since its bottom in June 2022, right? We're up 600%. We were up around 2,000%. And you compare that to Moonbeam, of course, it's clear what the winner is and what the loser is. But I think we should extract a lesson from this. We should look better next time when we're searching for coins. And of course, you can never know in advance, right? You can never pick a coin and know that in 6 months it's going to be doing this exact thing. It's, you can't be that good unless you have some insider information. But of course, we can all prepare for the next cycle with the knowledge that we've gathered from this cycle, because I think, just like for me, this cycle has taught me and you guys a lot of lessons, and we'll definitely try to implement those in the next bull market cycle, no matter what happens in this one. All right, so yeah, ORCA right now, great buying opportunity in my opinion. Not as great as it was over here at $1.50. We're up 100x from there. Sorry, 100%. But we're still down from that local top approximately 70%. Okay, so that was the Binance listing there. So yeah, it depends. It depends on your risk tolerance. You could potentially start building your position right now. And then if we have a retracement, you can continue dollar cost averaging on your way down towards that green block again. Okay, so that's one way to look at it. Personally, I would, if I didn't have any ORCA, I would probably wait for a bit of a retracement here because it just did a 2x move. And what we're going to be looking at here, if I remove that fib over there, so a retest of the previous all-time high at $18.70. That's the potential target for us this time around. And if we were to break past the all-time high, $53 would be our minimal target. So we took the bear market bottom from here, and we took the bull market top from the past cycle, but it literally listed at the end of the cycle. So it had that pump and then a correction. But if you manage to get into this at around 40 to 50 cents, you're doing really well right now. And you could have taken profits here, could have taken profits here and over here. And if we add a Fibonacci retracement and we apply it on this smaller fractal, we're looking at $33.70 as a technical target. So let's go to the CoinMarketCap page and see what that would look like. Okay, so we're sitting at $150 million market cap, $2.70. A 10x from here would put us at a 1.5 billion, and that would be a $27 price tag. So around $33 would probably be something like $1.8 billion. So right below $2 billion, I think, is very doable for ORCA, considering that it's a Solana exchange. Crypto Princess, how are you doing? Hopefully you're doing great. Everyone check out Crypto Princess's channel. She does great interviews with the YouTubers. And I think she has one with me as well. So let me just do a little plug-in here for Crypto Princess. All right, and this is the channel. And if you go to the very bottom here, I'm the first video. So if you want to check out our interview, feel free to do that. It was around 9 months ago. And I'm sure she interviewed one of your favorite crypto YouTubers as well. So feel free to check out Crypto Princess. And then going back to ORCA, yeah, that's the TLDR on ORCA. So I would much rather have ORCA than, let's say, Cardano or Moonbeam or something that's been underperforming, extremely underperforming against the rest of the markets. Okay, so Tim1999 is asking for JASM. Let's see what JASM is doing. I think it did well this cycle, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't hold any JASM. What was that pump? So 794 million. This is already listed on Binance. Okay, I'm gonna have to remove something. Just give me 1 second here. All right, so this is JASM on the weekly. And that's going to be a massive resistance for us, 23 cents. And if we set up a Fibonacci retracement from our bear market bottom in December 2022, all the way up to that local top from November 2021, what happened here is we ran into the golden ratio at around 0.618, which was around 0.045, so around 4.5 cents. And that's, to be honest, that's a negative sign. When you have a correction, you start recovering, and you run into the golden ratio. You actually ran into it twice here, and then you see a correction. That's quite a bearish signal. Why? Is because this is the most important resistance level to break through on your way back up. So if you get rejected from it, chances are you're going to be coming back down to your local bottom prices. It doesn't have to obviously happen every single time. Sometimes you can get a rejection and you simply hold the 0.236 like you did over here, and then you start recovering. That's a possibility. However, I'm just making you aware of the facts here. So this was a great buying opportunity. The 0.236 at 0.00848 cents, and now we're running into the 0.382 and the weekly 20 EMA. Again, a lot of these coins are sitting right below the 20 EMA on the weekly, and that is a negative sign. That's a sign of a downtrend. So once the entire market flips, all of these coins are going to start pumping past the 20 EMAs, and then the EMAs will follow the price action. So at the moment, when you're below the 20 EMA, just know that that's a great buying opportunity. Now, the risk here is that what if we don't have a bull market continuation? What if we're in the bear market already, right? We'll never know that until we get certain confirmations, and that takes time. So with that time, the prices could dip lower and lower, and your portfolio is going to shrink more and more. So that's the risk you're taking here. If you're buying here, you have to be 100% certain, or at least 90% certain, that we're going to be continuing this bull market. If you're not certain, then you shouldn't be risking your money here. Rather, you should wait for the bear market to play out, and then you get in at the bottom prices for, for all your altcoins that you're targeting. That's not financial advice, but that's just what I would be doing, right? If you're not sure if we're going to be continuing in this cycle, then you shouldn't be spending your money on coins. But I would say best case scenario for JASM is a retest of 24 cents there, of that November 2021 high. From the current values, that's 1,400% to the upside, which is more than enough. Okay, so next up is C-Pool. Sounds familiar, but clear pool. Okay, thought I removed JASM. Turns out I didn't. And let's open the CoinMarketCap page here. Okay, so this is $107 million market cap coin. Just like ORCA, it got listed right at the end of the cycle in 2021. We have a Bybit listing, which is great. BitGet. That's good. The vesting has concluded, and we currently have approximately 77% of the max 1 billion supply. And there's a cap on the supply, which is very good. The top 10 holders have 60% of the supply, of the circulating supply, which is, it's not the best ratio, but it is what it is. And what is this coin doing? This is a DeFi project. Okay, so this is in the RWA narrative. First, decentralized credit marketplace. Okay, so this is essentially a DeFi RWA project on Ethereum. And Ethereum is going to be leading the RWA narrative unless there is some other chain that overtakes Ethereum, because Ethereum is a beast in terms of TVL, and in terms of, like, all the RWA projects are essentially on Ethereum for the time being, at least. So let's switch over to C-Pool's price action chart. We're on the weekly here. Let's see what's going on. So very good chart, to be honest. Very good chart. Look at that. 3.7,000% move to the upside. That is pretty impressive. So I can immediately spot a block over here. So that was a major resistance, and it is a major support level right now. Obviously have a few bounces here from that area. So great buying opportunities within the range of this block. Every time you're down here, I would suggest you look at purchasing. Okay, what if we do that? All right, so this is C-Pool. And what we've done here is we took the local bottom from October 2023, or the bear market bottom rather, not the local bottom. And we took the local top during October 2022. So instead of taking that top, which is essentially when the token was listed, I took this top over here to be more conservative. And what ended up happening is we ran into the 1.414 at 56 cents. Usually you'd use the candle, the body of the candle for the fib, but you can also use the wick here. And I switched it to the wick. That way we get a 1.618 target slightly higher. And this is likely to be our bull market top if we were to continue pumping and if we were to continue with this alt season that everyone's waiting for. That's another 571% to the upside. So great buying opportunities anywhere between 14 and 8 cents. And after that, I'm looking at a top at the 1.618, and that'll be it in my opinion. And as long as we don't lose this bottom, this July 2024 bottom, we should be good for continuation. Look at the RSI has reset. So most altcoins have reset and they're ready for the next leg up. It's just a matter of having the right market conditions. Hopefully the current administration doesn't prevent us from having a good blow off top by the end of this year. Trump likes to use the markets as a reflection of his of the goodness he's doing for the world. So he'd want the markets to be pumping at some point. So all of the things he's doing right now is trying to secure the deals that he wants to secure for his 4 years. And then once he's done with that, I think he'll move forward to pumping the markets and making sure the economy is getting better. At least that's what I'm thinking here. But again, this administration has been crazy, to say the least, and hopefully it gets less crazy for us by the end of this year. Crypto Princess, no worries, no worries. Tim, thank you. And that should be it, guys. We're running a little bit late here with my stream. I'm going to be ending in a few seconds here, but I want to thank you all for watching. If you have any other altcoin requests, we're going to cover those tomorrow. I see Michelle Kovac is asking for Rio. Unfortunately, we won't have time to do that. I believe Rio is an RWA coin, if I'm not mistaken. But we're going to do that tomorrow, so make sure to come back tomorrow around the same time, between 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to start off our live stream, and we'll take a look at what the latest news are. But definitely let me know down below in the comments, what are your thoughts on the GDP news from the United States, the updated expectations for the FOMC meetings, and the overall market structure that we're in right now. What are you expecting by the end of 2025? What is the Bitcoin price going to look like by the end of this year? Thank you all for watching, guys. Thanks for all the support. Stay safe and take care.